Chapter 11. I curl up in my bed and stare at it. I'm almost finished with it. There aren't very many more entries. I pick up the journal and place it on the pillow beside me. "I'm not going to read you," I whisper. "Although, if I read what's left, I'll be finished. Having seen Atlas tonight and knowing he has a girlfriend and a job and more than likely a home is enough closure I need on that chapter. And if I just finish the damn journal, I can put it back in the shoebox and never have to open it again." I finally pick it up and roll onto my back. "Ellen DeGeneres, you are such a bitch." "Dear Ellen, just keep swimming." Recognize that quote, Ellen? It's what Dory says to Marlin in Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. I'm not a huge fan of cartoons, but I'll give you props for that one. I like cartoons that can make you laugh, but also make you feel something. After today, I think that's my favorite cartoon. Because I've been feeling like drowning lately, and sometimes people need a reminder that they just need to keep swimming. Atlas got sick. Like, really sick. He's been crawling through my window and sleeping on the floor for a few nights in a row now, but last night I knew something was wrong as soon as I looked at him. It was a Sunday, so I hadn't seen him since the night before, but he looked awful. His eyes were bloodshot, his skin was pale, and even though it was cold, his hair was sweaty. I didn't even ask if he was feeling okay. I already knew he wasn't. I put my hand on his forehead, and he was so hot I almost yelled for my mother. He said, "I'll be fine, Lily." And then he started to make his pallet on the floor. I told him to wait there, and then I went to the kitchen and poured him a glass of water. I found some medicine in the cabinet. It was flu medicine, and I wasn't even sure if that's what was wrong with him, but I made him take some anyway. He laid there on the floor, curled up into a ball, when, about half an hour later, he said, "Lily, I think I'm gonna need a trash can." I jumped up and grabbed the trash can from under my desk and knelt down in front of him. As soon as I set it down, he hunched over it and started throwing up. God, I felt bad for him. Being so sick and not having a bathroom or a bed or a house or a mother. All he had was me, and I didn't even know what to do for him. When he was finished, I made him drink some water, and then I told him to get on the bed. He refused, but I wasn't having it. I put the trash can on the floor next to the bed and made him move to the bed. He was so hot and shaking so bad, I was just scared to leave him on the floor. I laid down next to him, and every hour for the next 6 hours, he continued getting sick. I kept having to take the trash can to the bathroom to empty it out. I'm not gonna lie, it was gross. The grossest night I've ever had, but what else could I do? He needed me to help him, and I was all he had. When it came time for him to leave my room this morning, I told him to go back to his house and I'd be over to check on him before school. I'm surprised he even had the energy to crawl out of my window. I left the trash can next to my bed and waited for my mom to come wake me up. When she did, she saw the trash can and immediately held her hand to my forehead. "Lily, are you okay?" I groaned and shook my head. "No, I was up all night sick. I think it's over now, but I haven't slept." She picked up the trash can and told me to stay in bed, that she'd call the school and let them know I wasn't coming. After she left for work, I went and got Atlas and told him he could stay with me at the house all day. He was still getting sick, so I let him use my room to sleep. I'd check on him every half hour or so, and finally, around lunch, he stopped throwing up. He went and took a shower, and then I made him some soup. He was too tired to even eat it. I got a blanket, and we both sat down on the couch and covered up together. I don't know when I started feeling comfortable enough to snuggle up to him, but it just felt right. A few minutes later, he leaned over a little and pressed his lips against my collarbone, right between my shoulder and my neck. It was a quick kiss, and I don't think he meant for it to be romantic. It was more like a thank you gesture without using actual words. But it made me feel all kinds of things. It's been a few hours now, and I keep touching that spot with my fingers because I can still feel it. I know it was probably the worst day of his life, Ellen, but it was one of my favorites. I feel really bad about that. We watched Finding Nemo, and when that part came up where Marlin was looking for Nemo and he was feeling really defeated, Dory said to him, "When life gets you down, do you want to know what you've got to do? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming." Atlas grabbed my hand when Dory said that. He didn't hold it like a boyfriend holds his girlfriend's hand. He squeezed it like he was saying that was us. He was Marlin, and I was Dory, and I was helping him swim. "Just keep swimming," I whispered to him. Lily. Dear Ellen, I'm scared. So scared. I like him a lot. He's all I think about when we're together, and I feel worried sick about him when we're not. My life is beginning to revolve around him, and that's not good, I know. But I can't help it, and I don't know what to do about it, and now he might leave. He left after we finished watching Finding Nemo yesterday, and then when my parents went to bed, he crawled in my window last night. He had slept in my bed the night before because he was sick, and I know I shouldn't have done it, but I put his blankets in the washing machine right before I went to bed. He asked where his pallet was, and I told him he'd have to sleep on the bed again because I wanted to wash his blankets and make sure they were clean so he wouldn't get sick again. For a minute, it looked like he was going to go back out the window. But then he shut it and took off his shoes and crawled in the bed with me. He wasn't sick anymore, but when he laid down, I thought maybe I had gotten sick because my stomach felt queasy. But I wasn't sick. I just always feel queasy when he's that close to me. We were facing each other on the bed when he said, "When do you turn 16? 2 more months," I whispered. We kept staring at each other, and my heart was beating faster and faster. "When do you turn 19? I asked, just trying to make conversation so he couldn't hear how hard I was breathing. "Not until October," he said. I nodded. I wondered why he was curious about my age, and it made me wonder what he thought about 15-year-olds. Did he look at me like I was just a little kid? Like a little sister? I was almost 16, and 2.5 years apart in age isn't that bad. Maybe when two people are 15 and 18, it might seem a little too far apart. But once I turned 16, I bet no one would even think twice about a 2.5-year age difference. "I need to tell you something," he said. I held my breath, not knowing what he was going to say. "I got in touch with my uncle today. My mom and I used to live with him in Boston. He told me once he gets back from his work trip, I can stay with him." I should have been so happy for him in that moment. I should have smiled and told him congratulations. But I felt all of the immaturity of my age when I closed my eyes and felt sorry for myself. "Are you going?" I asked. He shrugged. "I don't know. I wanted to talk to you about it first." He was so close to me on the bed, I could feel the warmth of his breath. I also noticed he smelled like mint, and it made me wonder if he uses bottled water to brush his teeth before he comes over here. I always send him home every day with lots of water. I brought my hand up to the pillow and started pulling at a feather sticking out of it. When I got it all the way out, I twisted it between my fingers. "I don't know what to say, Atlas. I'm happy you have a place to stay. But what about school?" "I could finish down there," he said. I nodded. It sounded like he already made up his mind. "When are you leaving?" I wondered how far away Boston is. It's probably a few hours, but that's a whole world away when you don't own a car. "I don't know for sure that I am." I dropped the feather back onto the pillow and brought my hand to my side. "What's stopping you? Your uncle is offering you a place to stay. That's good, right?" He tightened his lips together and nodded. Then he picked up the feather I'd been playing with, and he started twisting it between his fingers. He laid it back down on the pillow, and then he did something I wasn't expecting. He moved his fingers to my lips, and he touched them. God, Ellen, thought I was gonna die right then and there. It was the most I'd ever felt inside my body at one time. He kept his fingers there for a few seconds, and he said, "Thank you, Lily, for everything." He moved his fingers up and through my hair, and then he leaned forward and planted a kiss on my forehead. I was breathing so hard I had to open my mouth to catch more air. I could see his chest moving just as hard as mine was. He looked down at me, and I watched as his eyes went right to my mouth. "Have you ever been kissed, Lily?" I shook my head no, and tilted my face up to his because I needed him to change that right then and there, or I wasn't going to be able to breathe. Then, almost as if I were made of eggshells, he lowered his mouth to mine and just rested it there. I didn't know what to do next, but I didn't care. I didn't care if we just stayed like that all night and never even moved our mouths. It was everything. His lips closed over mine, and I could kind of feel his hand shaking. I did what he was doing and started to move my lips like he was. I felt the tip of his tongue brush across my lips once, and I thought my eyes were about to roll back in my head. He did it again, and then a third time, so I finally did it too. When our tongues touched for the first time, I kind of smiled a little, because I thought about my first kiss a lot. Where it would be, who it would be with. Never in a million years did I imagine it would feel like this. He pushed me on my back and pressed his hand against my cheek and kept kissing me. It just got better and better as I grew more comfortable. My favorite moment was when he pulled back for a second and looked down at me, then came back even harder. I don't know how long we kissed. A long time. So long, my mouth started to hurt and my eyes couldn't stay open. When we fell asleep, I'm pretty sure his mouth was still touching mine. We didn't talk about Boston again. I still don't know if he's leaving. Lily. Dear Ellen, I need to apologize to you. It's been a week since I've written to you and a week since I've watched your show. Don't worry, I still record it so you'll get the ratings, but every day we get off the bus, Atlas takes a quick shower and then we make out. Every day. It's awesome. I don't know what it is about him, but I feel so comfortable with him. He's so sweet and thoughtful. He never does anything I don't feel comfortable with, but so far he hasn't tried anything I don't feel comfortable with. I'm not sure how much I should divulge here since you and I have never met in person, but let me just say that if he's ever wondered what my boobs feel like, now he knows. I can't for the life of me figure out how people function from day to day when they like someone this much. If it were up to me, we would kiss all day and all night and do nothing in between except maybe talk a little. He tells funny stories. I love it when he's in a talkative mood because it doesn't happen very often, but he uses his hands a lot. He smiles a lot too, and I love his smile even more than I love his kiss. And sometimes I just tell him to shut up and stop smiling or kissing or talking so I can stare at him. I like looking at his eyes. They're so blue that he could be standing across a room and a person could tell how blue his eyes were. The only thing I don't like about kissing him sometimes is when he closes his eyes. And no, we still haven't talked about Boston. Lily. Dear Ellen, yesterday afternoon when we were riding the bus, Atlas kissed me. It wasn't anything new to us because we had kissed a lot by this point, but it's the first time he ever did it in public. When we're together, everything else just seems to fade away, so I don't think he even thought about other people noticing. But Katie noticed. She was sitting in the seat behind us, and I heard her say, "Gross," as soon as he leaned over and kissed me. She was talking to the girl next to her when she said, "I can't believe Lily lets him touch her. He wears the same clothes almost every day." Ellen, I was so mad. I also felt awful for Atlas. He pulled away from me, and I could tell what she said bothered him. I started to turn around to yell at her for judging someone she doesn't even know, but he grabbed my hand and shook his head no. "Don't, Lily," he said. So I didn't. But for the rest of the bus ride, I was so angry. I was angry that Katie would say something so ignorant just to hurt someone she thought was beneath her. I was also hurt that Atlas appeared to be used to comments like that. I didn't want him to think I was embarrassed that anyone saw him kiss me. I know Atlas better than any of them do, and I know what a good person he is, no matter what his clothes look like or that he used to smell before he started using my shower. I leaned over and kissed him on the cheek and then rested my head on his shoulder. "You know what?" I said to him. He slid his fingers through mine and squeezed my hand. "What?" "You're my favorite person." I felt him laugh a little, and it made me smile. "Out of how many people?" he asked. "All of them." He kissed the top of my head and said, "You're my favorite person too, Lily. By a long shot." When the bus came to a stop on my street, he didn't let go of my hand when we started to walk off. He was in front of me in the aisle, and I was walking behind him, so he didn't see it when I turned around and flipped off Katie. I probably shouldn't have done it, but the look on her face made it worth it. When we got to my house, he took the house key out of my hand and unlocked my front door. It was weird seeing how comfortable he is at my house now. He walked in and locked the door behind us. That's when we noticed the electricity in the house wasn't working. I looked out the window and saw a utility truck down the street working on the power lines, so that meant we couldn't watch your show. I wasn't too upset because it meant we would probably just make out for an hour and a half. "Does your oven run off gas or electricity?" he asked. "Gas?" I said, a little confused that he was asking about our oven. He kicked off his shoes, which were really just a pair of my father's old shoes, and he started walking toward the kitchen. "I'm gonna make you something," he said. "You know how to cook?" He opened the refrigerator and started moving things around. "Yep, I probably love to cook as much as you love to grow things." He took a few things out of the refrigerator and preheated the oven. I leaned against the counter and watched him. He wasn't even looking at a recipe. He was just pouring things into bowls and mixing them without even using a measuring cup. I had never seen my father lift a finger in the kitchen. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't even know how to preheat our oven. I kind of thought most men were like that, but watching Atlas work his way around my kitchen proved me wrong. "What are you making?" I asked him. I pushed my hands on the island and hoisted myself onto it. "Cookies," he said. He walked the bowl over to me and stuck a spoon in the mixture. He brought the spoon up to my mouth and I tasted it. One of my weaknesses is cookie dough, and this was the best I'd ever tasted. "Oh, wow," I said, licking my lips. He set the bowl down beside me and then leaned in and kissed me. Cookie dough and Atlas's mouth mixed together is like heaven, in case you're wondering. I made a noise deep in my throat that let him know how much I liked the combination, and it made him laugh. But he didn't stop kissing me. He just laughed through the kiss, and it completely melted my heart. A happy Atlas was near mind-blowing. It made me want to uncover every single thing about this world that he likes and give it all to him. When he was kissing me, I wondered if I loved him. I've never had a boyfriend before and have nothing to compare my feelings to. In fact, I've never really wanted a boyfriend or a relationship until Atlas. I'm not growing up in a household with a great example of how a man should treat someone he loves, so I've always held on to an unhealthy amount of distrust when it comes to relationships and other people. There have been times I've wondered if I could ever allow myself to trust a guy. For the most part, I hate men because the only example I have is my father. But spending all this time with Atlas is changing me. Not in a huge way, I don't think. I still distrust most people. But Atlas is changing me enough to believe that maybe he's an exception to the norm. He stopped kissing me and picked up the bowl again. He walked it over to the opposite counter and started spooning dough onto 2 cookie sheets. "You want to know a trick to cooking with a gas oven?" he asked. I'm not sure I really ever cared about cooking before, but he somehow made me want to know everything he knew. It might have been how happy he looked when he talked about it. Gas ovens have hot spots, he said as he opened the oven door and put the cookie sheets inside. You have to be sure and rotate the pans so they'll cook evenly. He closed the door and pulled the oven mitt off his hand. He tossed it on the counter. A pizza stone helps, too. If you just keep it in the oven, even when you aren't baking pizza, it helps eliminate the hot spots. He walked over to me and placed his hands on either side of me. The electricity kicked on right as he was pulling down the collar of my shirt. He kissed the spot on my shoulder he always loves kissing and slowly slid his hands up my back. I swear, sometimes when he's not even here, I can still feel his lips on my collarbone. He was about to kiss me on the mouth when we heard a car pull into the driveway and the garage door start to open. I jumped off the island, looking around the kitchen frantically. His hands went up to my cheeks and he made me look at him. Keep an eye on the cookies. They'll be finished in about 20 minutes. He pressed his lips to mine and then released me, rushing to the living room to grab his backpack. He made it out the back door right when I heard the engine to my father's car shut off. I started gathering all the ingredients together when my father walked into the kitchen from the garage. He looked around and then saw the light on in the oven. Are you cooking? He asked. I nodded because my heart was beating so fast I was scared he'd hear the trembling in my voice if I responded out loud. I scrubbed for a moment at a spot on the counter that was perfectly clean. I cleared my throat and said, Cookies, I'm baking cookies. He set his briefcase down on the kitchen table and then walked to the refrigerator and pulled out a beer. The electricity has been out, I said. I was bored, so I decided to bake while I waited for it to come back on. My father sat down at the table and spent the next 10 minutes asking me questions about school and if I'd thought about going to college. Occasionally, when it was just the two of us, I saw glimpses of how a normal relationship with a father could be. Sitting at the kitchen table with him discussing colleges and career choices in high school. As much as I hated him most of the time, I still longed for more of these moments with him. If he could just always be the guy he was capable of being in these moments, things would be so much different. For all of us. I rotated the cookies like Atlas had said to do, and when they were finished, I pulled them out of the oven. I took one off the cookie sheet and handed it to my father. I hated that I was being nice to him. It almost felt like I was wasting one of Atlas's cookies. Wow, my father said. These are great, Lily. I forced a thank you, even though I didn't make them. I couldn't very well tell him that, though. They're for school, so you can only have one, I lied. I waited until the rest of them cooled, and then I put them in a Tupperware container and took them to my room. I didn't even want to try one without Atlas, so I waited until later that night when he came over. You should have tried one when they were hot, he said. That's when they're the best. I didn't want to eat them without you, I said. We sat on the bed with our backs against the wall and proceeded to eat half the bowl of cookies. I told him they were delicious, but failed to tell him that they were by far the greatest cookies I'd ever eaten. I didn't want to inflate his ego. I kind of liked how humble he was. I tried to grab at another one, but he pulled the bowl away and put the lid back on. If you eat too many, you'll make yourself sick, and you won't like my cookies anymore. I laughed. Impossible. He took a drink of water and then stood up, facing the bed. I made you something, he said, reaching into his pocket. More cookies? I asked. He smiled and shook his head, then held out a fist. I lifted my hand and he dropped something hard in the palm of my hand. It was a small, flat outline of a heart, about 2 inches long, carved out of wood. I rubbed my thumb over it, trying not to smile too big. It wasn't an anatomically correct heart, but it also didn't look like the hand-drawn hearts. It was uneven and hollow in the middle. You made this? I asked, looking up at him. He nodded. I carved it with an old whittling knife I found at the house. The ends of the heart weren't connected. They just curved in a little, leaving a space at the top of the heart. I didn't even know what to say. I felt him sit back down on the bed, but I couldn't stop looking at it long enough to even thank him. I carved it out of a branch, he said, whispering, from the oak tree in your backyard. I swear, Ellen, I never thought I could love something so much. Or maybe what I was feeling wasn't for the gift, but for him. I closed my fist around the heart and then leaned over and kissed him so hard he fell back onto the bed. I threw my leg over him and straddled him, and he grabbed my waist and grinned against my mouth. I'm gonna carve you a damn house out of that oak tree if this is the reward I get, he whispered. I laughed. You have to stop being so perfect, I told him. You're already my favorite person, but now you're making it really unfair to all the other humans because no one will ever be able to catch up to you. He brought his hand to the back of my head and rolled me until I was on my back and he was the one on top. Then my plan is working, he said, right before kissing me again. I held on to the heart while we kissed, wanting to believe it was a gift for no reason at all. But part of me was scared it was a gift to remember him by when he leaves for Boston. I didn't want to remember him. If I had to remember him, it would mean he wasn't a part of my life anymore. I don't want him to move to Boston, Ellen. I know that's selfish of me because he can't keep living in that house. I don't know what I'm more afraid might happen, watching him leave or selfishly begging him not to go. I know we need to talk about it. I'll ask him about Boston tonight when he comes over. I just didn't want to ask him last night because it was a really perfect day. Lily. Dear Ellen, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. He's moving to Boston. I don't really feel like talking about it. Lily. Dear Ellen, this is going to be a big one for my mother to hide. My father is usually pretty cognizant of hitting her where it won't leave a visible bruise. The last thing he probably wants is for people in the town to know what he does to her. I've seen him kick her a few times, choke her, hit her on the back and the stomach, pull her hair. The few times he's hit her on the face, it's always just been a slap, so the marks wouldn't stay for long. But never have I seen him do what he did last night. It was really late when they got home. It was a weekend, so he and my mom went to some community function. My father has a real estate company, and he's also the town mayor, so they have to do things in the public a lot, like go to charity dinners. Which is ironic, since my father hates charities. But I guess he has to save face. Atlas was already in my room when they got home. I could hear them fighting as soon as they walked through the front door. A lot of the conversation was muffled, but for the most part it sounded like my father was accusing her of flirting with some man. Now, I know my mother, Ellen. She would never do something like that. If anything, a guy probably looked at her and it made my father jealous. My mother is really beautiful. I heard him call her a whore, and then I heard the first blow. I started to climb out of my bed, but Atlas pulled me back and told me not to go in there, that I might get hurt. I told him it actually helps sometimes, that when I go in there, my father backs off. Atlas tried to talk me out of it, but finally I got up and went out into the living room. Ellen, he was on top of her. They were on the couch and he had his hand around her throat, but his other hand was pulling up her dress. She was trying to fight him off, and I just stood there, frozen. She kept begging him to get off her, and then he hit her right across the face and told her to shut up. I'll never forget his words when he said, "You want attention? I'll give you some fucking attention." And that's when she got real still and stopped fighting him. I heard her crying, and then she said, "Please be quiet. Lily is here." She said, "Please be quiet Please be quiet while you rape me, dear. Ellen, I didn't know one human was capable of feeling so much hate inside one heart. And I'm not even talking about my father. I'm talking about me. I walked straight to the kitchen and I opened a drawer. I grabbed the biggest knife I could find and I don't know how to explain it. It was like I wasn't even in my own body. I could see myself walking across the kitchen with a knife in my hand, and I knew I wasn't going to use it. I just wanted something bigger than myself that could scare him away from her. But right before I made it out of the kitchen, 2 arms went around my waist and picked me up from behind. I dropped the knife, and my father didn't hear it, but my mother did. We locked eyes as Atlas carried me back to my bedroom. When we were back inside my room, I just started hitting him in the chest, trying to get back out there to her. I was crying and doing everything I could to get him out of my way, but he wouldn't move. He just wrapped his arms around me and said, "Lily, calm down." He kept saying it over and over, and he held me there for a long time until I accepted that he wasn't going to let me go back out there. He wasn't going to let me have that knife. He walked over to the bed and grabbed his jacket and started putting on his shoes. "We'll go next door," he said. "We'll call the police." The police. My mother had warned me not to call the police in the past. She said it could jeopardize my father's career. But in all honesty, I didn't care at that point. I didn't care that he was the mayor or that everyone who loved him didn't know the awful side of him. The only thing I cared about was helping my mother. So I pulled on my jacket and went to the closet for a pair of shoes. When I stepped out of my closet, Atlas was staring at my bedroom door. It was opening. My mother stepped inside and quickly shut it, locking it behind her. I'll never forget what she looked like. She had blood coming down from her lip. Her eye was already starting to swell, and she had a clump of hair just resting on her shoulder. She looked at Atlas, and then at me. I didn't even take a moment to feel scared that she caught me in my room with a boy. I didn't care about that. I was just worried about her. I walked over to her and grabbed her hands and walked her to my bed. I brushed the hair off her shoulder and then from her forehead. "He's gonna go call the police, Mom, okay?" Her eyes grew real wide and she started shaking her head. "No," she said. She looked over at Atlas and said, "You can't. No." He was already at the window about to leave, so he stopped and looked at me. "He's drunk, Lily," she said. "He heard your door shut, so he went to our bedroom. He stopped. If you call the police, it'll just make it worse, believe me. Just let him sleep it off. It'll be better tomorrow." I shook my head and could feel the tears stinging my eyes. "Mom, he was trying to rape you." She ducked her head and winced when I said that. She shook her head again and said, "It's not like that, Lily. We're married, and sometimes marriage is just. You're too young to understand it." It got really quiet for a minute, and then I said, "I hope to hell I never do." That's when she started to cry. She just held her head in her hands and she started to sob, and all I could do was wrap my arms around her and cry with her. I'd never seen her this upset, or this hurt, or this scared. It broke my heart, Ellen. It broke me. When she was finished crying, I looked around the room and Atlas had left. We went to the kitchen and I helped her clean up her lip and her eye. She never did say anything about him being there. Not one thing. I waited for her to tell me I was grounded, but she never did. I realized that maybe she didn't acknowledge it because that's what she does. Things that hurt her just get swept under the rug, never to be brought up again. Lily. Dear Ellen, I think I'm ready to talk about Boston now. He left today. I've shuffled my deck of cards so many times my hands hurt. I'm scared if I don't get out how I feel on paper, I'll go crazy holding it all in. Our last night didn't go over so well. We kissed a lot at first, but we were both too sad to really care about it. For the second time in 2 days, he told me he changed his mind and that he wasn't leaving. He didn't want to leave me alone in this house. But I've lived with these parents for almost 16 years. It was silly of him to turn down a home in favor of being homeless just because of me. We both knew that, but it still hurt. I tried to not be so sad about it, so when we were lying there, I asked him to tell me about Boston. I told him maybe one day when I got out of school, I could go there. He got this look in his eye when he started talking about it, a look I'd never seen, sort of like he was talking about heaven. He told me about how everyone has the greatest accents there. Instead of car, they say ka. He must not realize that he sometimes says his R's like that too. He said he lived there from the ages of 9 until he was 14, so I guess maybe he picked up a little bit of the accent. He told me about how his uncle lives in an apartment building with the coolest rooftop deck. A lot of apartments have them, he said. Some even have pools. Plethora, Maine probably didn't even have a building that was tall enough for a rooftop deck. I wondered what it would feel like to be that high up. I asked him if he ever went up there, and he said yes, that when he was younger, sometimes he would go to the roof and just sit up there and think while he looked out over the city. He told me about the food. I already knew he liked to cook, but I had no idea how much passion he had for it. I guess because he doesn't have a stove or a kitchen, so other than the cookies he baked me, he's never really talked about cooking before. He told me about the harbor and how, before his mother remarried, she used to take him fishing out there. I mean, Boston isn't any different from any other big city, I guess, he said. There's not a lot that makes it stand out. It's just, I don't know, there's a vibe, a really good energy. When people say they live in Boston, they're proud of it. I miss that sometimes. I ran my fingers through his hair and said, "Well, you made it sound like the best place in the world. Like everything is better in Boston." He looked at me and his eyes were sad when he said, "Everything is almost better in Boston. Except the girls. Boston doesn't have you." That made me blush. He kissed me real sweet, and then I said to him, "Boston doesn't have me yet. Someday I'll move there, and I'll find you." He made me promise, said if I moved to Boston, everything really would be better there, and it would be the best city in the world. We kissed some more, and did other things that I won't bore you with, although that's not to say they were boring. They were not. But then this morning, I had to tell him goodbye, and he held me and kissed me so much I thought I might die if he let go. But I didn't die, because he let go, and here I am, still living, still breathing, just barely. Lily. I flipped to the next page, but then slammed the book shut. There's only one more entry, and I don't know that I really feel like reading it right now. Or ever. I put the journal back in my closet, knowing that my chapter with Atlas is over. He's happy now. I'm happy now. Time can definitely heal all wounds. Or at least most of them. I turn off my lamp and then pick up my phone to plug it in. I have 2 missed text messages from Ryle and one from my mother. Ryle. Hey, naked truth commencing in 3, 2. Ryle. I was worried that being in a relationship would add to my responsibilities. That's why I've avoided them my whole life. I already have enough on my plate, and seeing the stress my parents' marriage seemed to cause them, and the failed marriages of some of my friends, I wanted no part in something like that. But after tonight, I realized that maybe a lot of people are just doing it wrong. because what's happening between us doesn't feel like a responsibility. It feels like a reward. And I'll fall asleep wondering what I did to deserve it. I pull my phone to my chest and smile. Then I screenshot the text because I'm keeping it forever. I open up the third text message. Mom, a doctor, Lily, and your own business? I want to be you when I grow up. I screenshot that one, too. Chapter 12. What are you doing to those poor flowers? Elisa asks from behind me. I clamp another silver washer closed and slide it down the stem. Steampunk. We both stand back and admire the bouquet. At least, I hope she's looking at it with admiration. It turned out better than I thought it would. I used florist dip dye to turn some white roses a deep purple. Then I decorated the stems with different steampunk elements, like tiny metal washers and gears, and even superglued a small clock to the brown leather strap that's holding the bouquet together. Steampunk? It's a trend, kind of like a subgenre of fiction, but it's catching on in other areas. Art, music. I turn around and smile, holding up the bouquet. And now, flowers. Elisa takes the flowers from me and holds them up in front of her. They're so weird. I love them so much. She hugs them. Can I have them? I pull them away from her. No, they're our grand opening display, not for sale. I take the flowers from her and grab the vase I made yesterday. I found a pair of old button-up women's boots at a flea market last week. They reminded me of the steampunk style, and the boots are actually where I got the idea for the flowers. I washed the boots last week, dried them, and then superglued pieces of metal to them. Once I brushed them with Mod Podge, I was able to line the inside with a vase to hold water for the flowers. Elisa, I placed the flowers on the center display table. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what I was supposed to do with my life. Steampunk? She asks. I laugh and spin around. Create, I say. And then I flip the sign to open 15 minutes early. We both spend the day busier than we thought we'd be. Between phone orders, internet orders, and walk-ins, neither of us even has time to take a lunch break. You need more employees, Elisa says as she passes me, holding 2 bouquets of flowers. That is at 1 o'clock. You need more employees, she says to me at 2 o'clock, holding the phone to her ear and writing down an order while ringing someone up at the register. Marshall stops by after 3 o'clock and asks how it's going. Elisa says, she needs more employees. I help a woman take a bouquet to her car at 4 o'clock, and as I'm walking back inside, Elisa is walking out holding another bouquet. You need more employees, she says, exasperated. At 6 o'clock, she locks the door and flips the sign. She falls against the door and slides to the floor, looking up at me. I know, I tell her. I need more employees. She just nods. And then we laugh. I walk over to where she's seated and I sit next to her. We lean our heads together and look at the store. The steampunk flowers are front and center, and although I refuse to sell this particular bouquet, we had 8 pre-orders for more of them. I'm proud of you, Lily, she says. I smile. I couldn't have done it without you, Isa. We sit there for several minutes, enjoying the rest we're finally giving our feet. This was honestly one of the best days I've ever had. But I can't help but feel a nagging sadness that Ryle never stopped by. He also never texted. Have you heard from your brother today? I ask. She shakes her head. No, but I'm sure he's just busy. I nod. I know he's busy. We both look up when someone knocks on the door. I smile when I see him cupping his hands around his eyes with his face pressed to the window. He finally looks down and sees us sitting on the floor. Speak of the devil, Elisa says. I jump up and unlock the door to let him in. As soon as I open it, he's pushing his way inside. I missed it. I did. I missed it. He hugs me. I'm sorry. I tried to get here as soon as I could. I hug him back and say, it's fine. You're here. It was perfect. I'm giddy with excitement that he made it at all. You're perfect, he says, kissing me. Elisa brushes past us. You're perfect, she mimics. Hey, Ryle, guess what? Ryle releases me. What? Elisa grabs the trash can and drops it on the counter. Lily needs to hire more employees. I laugh at her constant repetition. Ryle squeezes my hand and says, sounds like business was good. I shrug. I can't complain. I mean, I'm no brain surgeon, but I'm pretty good at what I do. Ryle laughs. You guys need any help cleaning up? Elisa and I put him to work, helping us clean up after the big day. We get everything finished and prepped for tomorrow, and then Marshall arrives just as we're finishing up. He's carrying a bag when he walks inside and drops it on the counter. He begins to pull out huge lumps of some kind of material and tosses them at each of us. I catch mine and unfold it. It's a onesie with kittens all over it. Bruins game, free beer, suit up team. Elisa groans and says, Marshall, you made $6 million this year. Do we really need free beer? He shoves a finger against her lips, pushing them in opposite directions. Shh! Don't speak like a rich girl, Lisa. Blasphemy. She laughs, and Marshall grabs the onesie out of her hand. He unzips it and helps her into it. Once we're all suited up, we lock the door and head to the bar. I've never in my life seen so many men in onesies. Elisa and I are the only women wearing them, but I kind of like that. It's loud, so loud, and each time the Bruins make a good play, Elisa and I have to cover our ears from the screams. After about half an hour, a booth on the top floor opens up and we all run upstairs to claim it. Much better, Elisa says as we slide in. It's much quieter up here, although still loud compared to normal standards. A waitress comes over to take our drink order. I order red wine, and as soon as I do, Marshall practically jumps out of his seat. Wine? He yells. You're in a onesie. You don't get free wine with a onesie. He tells the waitress to bring me a beer instead. Ryle tells her to bring me wine. Elisa wants water, and this upsets Marshall even more. He tells the waitress to bring 4 bottles of beer, and then Ryle says, 2 beers, red wine, and a water. The waitress is very confused by the time she leaves our table. Marshall throws his arm around Elisa and kisses her. How am I supposed to try and knock you up tonight if you aren't a little wasted? The look on Elisa's face changes, and I feel instantly bad for her. I know Marshall only said that in fun, but it has to bother her. She was just telling me a few days ago how depressed she is that she can't get pregnant. I can't have beer, Marshall. Then drink wine at least. You like me more when you're tipsy. He laughs at himself, but Elisa doesn't. I can't have wine either. I can't have any alcohol. Actually, Marshall stops laughing. My heart does a flip-flop. Marshall turns in the booth and grabs her shoulders, making her face him straight on. Elisa. She just starts nodding, and I don't know who starts crying first, me or Marshall or Elisa. I'm gonna be a dad? He yells. She's still nodding, and I'm just bawling like an idiot. Marshall jumps up in the booth and yells, I'm gonna be a dad! I can't even explain what this moment is like. A grown man in a onesie standing up in a booth at a bar, yelling to whoever will listen that he's gonna be a dad. He pulls her up, and they're both standing in the booth now. He kisses her, and it's the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Until I look at Ryle and catch him chewing on his bottom lip like he's trying to blink back a potential tear. He glances at me and sees me staring, so he looks away. "Shut up," he says. "She's my sister." I smile and lean over and kiss him on the cheek. Congratulations, Uncle Ryle. Once the parents-to-be stop making out in the booth, Ryle and I both stand up and congratulate them. Elisa said she's been feeling sick for a while, but just took a test this morning before our grand opening. She was going to wait and tell Marshall tonight when they got home, but she couldn't hold it in for another second. Our drinks come and we order food. Once the waitress walks away, I look at Marshall. "How did you two meet?" He says, "Elisa tells the story better than I do." Elisa perks up and leans forward. "I hated him," she says. "He was Ryle's best friend and he was always at the house. I thought he was so annoying. He had just moved to Ohio from Boston and he had that Boston accent. He thought it made him so cool, but I just wanted to slap him every time she spoke." "She's so sweet," Marshall says sarcastically. "You were an idiot," Elisa replies, rolling her eyes. Anyway, one day Ryle and I had a few friends over. Nothing big, but our parents were out of town, so of course we had a little get-together. "There were 30 people there," Ryle says. "It was a party." "Okay, a party," Elisa says. I walked into the kitchen and Marshall was standing there pressed up against some floozy. "She wasn't a floozy," he says. "She was a nice girl, tasted like Cheetos, but—" Elisa glares at him, so he shuts up. She turns back to me. "I lost it," she says. "I started yelling at him to take his whores to his own house. The girl was literally so terrified of me, she ran for the door and didn't come back." "Cockblocker," Marshall says. Elisa punches him in the shoulder. Anyway, after I cock-blocked him, I ran to my room, embarrassed that I did that. It was out of pure jealousy, and I didn't even realize I liked him that way until I saw his hands on some other girl's ass. I threw myself on my bed and started crying. A few minutes later, he walked into my room and asked me if I was okay. I rolled over and yelled, "I like you, you stupid fuckface." "And the rest is history," Marshall says. I laugh. "Aw, stupid fuckface. How sweet." Ryle holds up a finger and says, "You're leaving out the best part." Elisa shrugs. "Oh, yeah." So Marshall walked over to me, pulled me off the bed, kissed me with the same mouth he was just kissing the floozy with, and we made out for half an hour. Ryle walked in on us and started screaming at Marshall. Then Marshall pushed Ryle out of my bedroom, locked the door, and made out with me for another hour. Ryle is shaking his head. "Betrayed by my best friend." Marshall pulls Elisa to him. "I like her, you stupid fuckface." I laugh, but Ryle turns to me with a serious look on his face. "I didn't speak to him for an entire month. I was so mad. I eventually got over it. We were 18, she was 17. Wasn't much I could do in the way of keeping them apart." "Wow," I say. "I sometimes forget how close in age you two are." Elisa smiles and says, 3 kids in 3 years. I feel so sorry for my parents." The table grows quiet. I see an apologetic look pass from Elisa to Ryle. 3? I ask. "You have another sibling?" Ryle straightens up and takes a sip of his beer. He sets it back down on the table and says, "We had an older brother. He passed away when we were kids." Such a great night, ruined by a simple question. Luckily, Marshall redirects the conversation like a pro. I spend the rest of the evening listening to stories about them growing up. I'm not sure I've ever laughed as hard as I have tonight. When the game is over, we all walk back to the shop to retrieve our cars. Ryle said he caught an Uber over earlier, so he'll just ride with me. Before Elisa and Marshall leave, I tell her to hold on. I run inside the store and grab the steampunk flowers and run them back to their car. Her face lights up when I hand them to her. I'm happy you're pregnant, but that's not why I'm giving you these flowers. I just want you to have them, because you're my best friend. Elisa squeezes me and whispers in my ear, I hope he marries you someday. We'll be even better sisters. She climbs inside the car and they leave, and I just stand there watching them because I don't know that I've ever had a friend like her in my whole life. Maybe it's the wine. I don't know. But I love today. Everything about it. I especially love how Ryle looks, leaning against my car, watching me. You're really beautiful when you're happy. Ugh, this day. Perfect. We're making our way up the stairs to my apartment when Ryle grabs my waist and pushes me against the wall. He just starts kissing me right there in the stairwell. Impatient, I mutter. He laughs and cups my ass with both of his hands. Nope, it's this onesie. You really should consider making this your business attire. He kisses me again and doesn't stop kissing me until someone passes us, heading down the stairs. The guy mumbles, Nice onesies, as he squeezes past us. Did the Bruins win? Ryle nods. 3-1, he responds without looking up at the guy. Nice, the guy says. Once he's gone, I step away from Ryle. What is this onesie thing? Does every male in Boston know about this? He laughs and says, Free beer, Lily. It's free beer. He pulls me up the stairs, and when we walk in the door, Lucy is standing at the kitchen table, taping up a box of her stuff. There's another box she hasn't taped up yet, and I could swear I see a bowl that I bought at Home Goods sticking out of the top. She said she'd have all her stuff out by next week, but I have a feeling she'll conveniently have some of my stuff out too. Who are you? She asks, looking Ryle up and down. Ryle Kincaid. I'm Lily's boyfriend. Lily's boyfriend. Did you hear that? Boyfriend. It's the first time he's confirmed it, and he said it so confidently. My boyfriend, huh? I walk into the kitchen and grab a bottle of wine and 2 wine glasses. Ryle comes up behind me as I'm pouring the wine and snakes his arms around my waist. Yep, your boyfriend. I hand him a glass of wine and say, So I'm a girlfriend? He holds up his glass and clinks it against mine. To the end of trial runs and the beginning of sure things. We're both smiling as we take a drink of our wine. Lucy stacks the boxes together and walks toward the front door. Looks like I got out right in time, she says. The door closes behind her and Ryle raises an eyebrow. I don't think your roommate likes me very much. You'd be surprised. I didn't think she liked me either, but yesterday she asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding. I think she's just hoping for free flowers, though. She's very opportunistic. Ryle laughs and leans against the refrigerator. His eyes fall to a magnet that says Boston on it. He pulls it off the refrigerator and raises an eyebrow. You'll never get out of Boston purgatory if you keep souvenirs of Boston on your fridge like a tourist. I laugh and grab the magnet, slapping it back on the fridge. I like that he remembers so much about the first night we met. It was a gift. It only counts as touristy if I bought it myself. He steps over to me and takes my glass of wine from my hands. He sets both of our glasses on the countertop and then leans in and gives me a deep, passionate, drunken kiss. I can taste the tart fruitiness of the wine on his tongue, and I like it. His hands go to the zipper on my onesie. Let's get you out of these clothes. He pulls me toward the bedroom, kissing me while we both struggle out of our clothes. By the time we make it to my bedroom, I'm down to my bra and panties. He shoves me against the door, and I gasp at the unexpectedness of it. Don't move, he says. He presses his lips to my chest, then begins to kiss me slowly as he makes his way down my body. Oh, Lord. Can this day seriously get any better? I run my hands through his hair, but he grabs my wrists and presses them against the door. He climbs back up my body, squeezing my wrists tightly. He raises an eyebrow in warning. I said, don't move. I try not to smile, but it's hard to disguise. He drags his mouth back down my body. He slowly lowers my panties to my ankles, but he told me not to move, so I don't kick them off. His mouth slides up my thigh until... Yeah. Best day ever. Chapter 13. Ryle. Are you at home or still at work? Me. Work should be done in about an hour. Ryle. Can I come see you? Me. You know how people say there is no such thing as a stupid question? They're wrong. That was a stupid question. Ryle. Smiley face. Half an hour later, he's knocking at the front door of the floral shop. I closed the shop almost 3 hours ago, but I'm still here, trying to get caught up on the chaos that was the first month. The store is still too new to get an accurate projection of how well or how bad it's doing. Some days are great, and some are so slow I send Elisa home. But overall, I'm happy with how it's gone so far. And happy with how things are going with Ryle. I unlock the door to let him in. He's in light blue scrubs again, and he still has a stethoscope around his neck. Fresh from work. Very nice touch. I swear, every time I see him straight off a shift, I have to hide the stupid grin on my face. I give him a quick kiss and then turn back toward my office. I have a few things to finish up, and then we can go back to my place. He follows me into my office and closes the door. You got a couch? He asks, looking around my office. I've spent some of this week putting the finishing touches on it. I bought a couple of lamps, so I don't have to turn on the overpowering fluorescent lights. The lamps give the room a soft glow. I also bought a few plants to keep here permanently. It's no garden, but it's as close as it gets. It's come a long way since this room was being used as storage for vegetable crates. Ryle walks over to the couch and falls down onto it face first. Take your time, he mumbles into the pillow. I'll just nap until you're finished. I sometimes worry about how hard he pushes himself with work, but I don't say anything. I've been sitting in my office going on 12 hours now, so I don't have much room to talk when it comes to being too ambitious. I spend the next 15 minutes or so finalizing orders. When I'm finished, I close my laptop and look over at Ryle. I thought he'd be asleep, but instead he's on his side with his head propped up on his hand. He's been watching me this whole time, and seeing the smile on his face makes me blush. I push my chair back and stand up. Lily, I think I like you too much, he says as I make my way over to him. I scrunch up my nose as he sits up on the couch and pulls me onto his lap. Too much? That doesn't sound like a compliment. That's because I don't know if it is, he says. He adjusts my legs on either side of him and then wraps his arms around my waist. This is my first real relationship. I don't know if I'm supposed to like you this much yet. I don't want to scare you away. I laugh. Like that could ever happen. You work way too much to smother me. He rubs his hands up my back. Does it bother you that I work too much? I shake my head. No, I worry about you sometimes because I don't want you to burn yourself out. But I don't mind that I have to share you with your passion. I actually really like how ambitious you are. It's kind of sexy. It might even be my favorite thing about you. You know what I like the most about you? I already know this answer, I say, smiling. My mouth. He leans his head back against the couch.
Oh yeah, that does come first. But do you know what my second favorite thing about you is?
I shake my head.
You don't put pressure on me to be something I'm incapable of being. You accept me exactly how I am.
I smile. Well, in all fairness, you're a little different from when I first met you. You aren't so anti-girlfriend anymore.
That's because you make it easy,
he says, sliding a hand inside the back of my shirt.
It's easy being with you. I can still have the career I've always wanted, but you make it 10 times better with the way you support me. When I'm with you, I feel like I get to have my cake and eat it too.
Now both of his hands are beneath my shirt, pressed against my back. He pulls me toward him and kisses me. I grin against his mouth and whisper, "Is it the best cake you've ever tasted?" One of his hands moves to the back of my bra and he unfastens it with ease.
I'm pretty sure, but maybe I need another taste of it to be positive.
He pulls my shirt and bra over my head. I begin to push myself off of him so I can pull off my jeans, but he pulls me back onto his lap. He grabs his stethoscope and puts it in his ears, then presses the diaphragm against my chest, right over my heart.
What's got your heart so worked up, Lily?
I shrug innocently. It might have a little to do with you, Dr. Kincaid. He drops the end of the stethoscope and then lifts me off of him, pushing me back onto the couch. He spreads my legs and kneels down on the couch between them, placing the stethoscope against my chest again. He uses his other hand to hold himself up as he continues listening to my heart.
I'd say you're at about 90 beats per minute,
he says. Is that good or bad? He grins and lowers himself on top of me.
I'll be satisfied when it reaches 140.
Yeah. If it reaches 140, I'm thinking I'll be satisfied too. He lowers his mouth to my chest, and my eyes fall shut when I feel his tongue slide across my breast. He takes me in his mouth, keeping the stethoscope pressed against my chest the entire time.
You're at about 100 now,
he says. He wraps the stethoscope around his neck again and then pulls back, unbuttoning my jeans. Once he slides them off of me, he turns me over until I'm on my stomach, my arms draped over the arm of the couch.
Get on your knees,
he says. I do what he says, and before I'm even adjusted, I feel the cold metal of the stethoscope meet my chest again, this time with his arm snaked around me from behind. I remain still as he listens to my heartbeat. His other hand slowly begins to find its way between my legs and then inside my panties and then inside of me. I grip the couch, but try to keep the noises to a minimum while he listens to my heart.
110,
he says, still unsatisfied. He pulls my hips back to meet him, and then I can feel him freeing himself from his scrubs. He grips my hip with one hand while shoving my panties aside with the other. Then he pushes forward until he's all the way inside of me. I'm grasping the couch with two desperate fists when he pauses to listen to my heart again.
Lily,
he says with mock disappointment.
120, not quite where I want you.
The stethoscope disappears again, and his arm curls around my waist. His hand slides down my stomach and settles between my legs. I can no longer keep up with his rhythm. I can barely even stay on my knees. He's somehow holding me up with one hand and destroying me in the best possible way with his other hand. Right when I start to tremble, he pulls me upright until my back meets his chest. He's still inside me, but now he's focused on my heart again as he moves his stethoscope around to the front of my chest. I let out a moan, and he presses his lips to my ear.
Shh. No noises.
I have no idea how I make it through the next 30 seconds without making another sound. One of his arms is wrapped around me with a stethoscope pressed to my chest. His other arm is tight against my stomach as his hand continues its magic between my legs. He's still somehow deep inside me, and I'm trying to move against him, but he's rock solid as the tremors begin to rush through me. My legs are shaking and my hands are at my sides, gripping the tops of his thighs as it takes every ounce of my strength not to scream out his name. I'm still shaking when he lifts my hand and places the diaphragm against my wrist. After several seconds, he pulls the stethoscope away and tosses it to the floor. 150, he says with satisfaction. He pulls out of me and flips me onto my back, and then his mouth is on mine and he's inside me again. My body is too weak to move, and I can't even open my eyes and watch him. He thrusts against me several times and then holds still, groaning into my mouth. He drops on top of me, tense, yet shaking. He kisses my neck, and then his lips meet the tattoo of the heart on my collarbone. He finally settles against my neck and sighs. "Have I already mentioned tonight how much I like you?" he asks. I laugh. "Once or twice." "Consider this the third time," he says. "I like you. Everything about you, Lily. Being inside of you, being outside of you, being near you. I like it all." I smile, loving how his words feel against my skin. Inside my heart. I open my mouth to tell him I like him too, but my voice is cut off by the sound of his phone. He groans against my neck and then pulls out of me and reaches for his phone. He pulls his scrubs back into place and laughs as he looks at his caller ID. "It's my mother," he says, leaning over and kissing the top of my knee that's resting against the back of the couch. He tosses the phone aside and then stands and walks over to my desk, grabbing a box of tissues. This is always awkward, having to clean up after sex. But I can't say it's ever been this awkward before, knowing his mother is on the other end of that ring. Once all my clothes are back in place, he pulls me against him on the couch and I lie down on top of him, resting my head on his chest. It's after 10 now, and I'm so comfortable I debate just sleeping here for the night. Ryle's phone makes another noise, alerting him to a new voicemail. The thought of seeing him interact with his mother makes me smile. Elisa talks about their parents some, but I've never really talked to Ryle about them before. Do you get along with your parents? His arm is stroking mine gently. Yeah, I do. They're good people. We hit a rough patch when I was a teenager, but we worked through it. I talk to my mother almost daily now. I fold my arms over his chest and rest my chin on them, looking up at him. Will you tell me more about your mother? Elisa told me they moved to England a few years ago, and that they were in Australia on vacation, but that was like a month ago. He laughs. My mother? Well, my mother is very overbearing, very judgmental, especially of the people she loves the most. She's never missed a single church service, and I have never heard her refer to my father as anything other than Dr. Kincaid. Despite the warnings, he smiles the whole time he talks about her. Your father is a doctor too? He nods. Psychiatrist. He chose a field that also allowed him to have a normal life. Smart man. Do they ever visit you in Boston? Not really. My mother hates flying, so Elisa and I fly to England a couple of times a year. She does want to meet you, though, so you might be going with us on the next trip. I grin. You've told your mother about me? Of course, he says. This is kind of a monumental thing, you know. Me having a girlfriend. She calls me every day to make sure I haven't screwed it up somehow. I laugh, which makes him reach for his phone. You think I'm kidding? I guarantee she somehow brought you up in the voicemail she just left. He presses a few keys and then begins to play the voicemail.
Hey, sweetheart, it's your mom. Haven't spoken to you since yesterday. Miss you. Give Lily a hug for me. You do still see her, right? Elisa says you can't stop talking about her. She is still your girlfriend, right? Okay, Gretchen's here. We're having high tea. Love you. Kiss, kiss. I press my face against his chest and laugh. We've only been dating a few months. How much do you talk about me? He pulls my hand up between us and kisses it. Too much, Lily. Way too much. I smile. I can't wait to meet them. Not only did they raise an incredible daughter, but they made you. That's pretty impressive. His arms tighten around me, and he kisses the top of my head. What was your brother's name? I ask him. I can feel a slight stiffness in him after I ask that. I regret bringing it up, but it's too late to take it back. Emerson. I can tell by his voice that it's not something he wants to talk about right now. Instead of pressing it further, I lift my head and scoot forward, pressing my mouth to his. I should know better. Kisses can't seem to stop at just kisses when it comes to me and Ryle. In a matter of minutes, he's inside of me again. But this time, it's everything the other time wasn't. This time, we make love. Chapter 14. My phone rings. I pick it up to see who it is, and I'm a little taken aback. It's the first time Ryle has ever called me. We always just text. How odd to have a boyfriend for over 3 months that I've never once spoken to on the phone. Hello? Hey, girlfriend, he says. I smile cheesily at the sound of his voice. Hey, boyfriend. Guess what? What? I'm taking the day off tomorrow. Your floral shop doesn't open until 1 o'clock on Sundays. I'm on my way to your apartment with 2 bottles of wine. You want to have a sleepover with your boyfriend and have drunken sex all night and sleep until noon? It's really embarrassing what his words do to me. I smile and say, guess what? What? I'm cooking you dinner, and I'm wearing an apron. Oh, yeah? He says, just an apron. And then I hang up. A few seconds later, I get a text message. Ryle. Pic, please. Me. Get over here, and you can take the picture yourself. I'm almost finished preparing the casserole mixture when the door opens. I pour it into the glass pan and don't turn around when I hear him walk into the kitchen. When I said I was just wearing an apron, I meant it. I'm not even wearing panties. I can hear him suck in a rush of air when I reach over to the oven and stick the casserole inside. I might reach a little too far for show when I do it. When I close the oven, I don't face him. I grab a rag and start wiping down the oven, making sure to sway my hips as much as possible. I squeal when I feel a piercing sting on my right butt cheek. I spin around and Ryle is grinning, holding 2 bottles of wine. Did you just bite me? He gives me an innocent look. Don't tempt the scorpion if you don't want to get stung. He eyes me up and down while he opens one of the bottles. He holds it up before he pours us a glass and says, It's vintage. Vintage, I say with mock impression. What's the special occasion? He hands me a glass and says, I'm going to be an uncle. I have a smoking hot girlfriend, and I get to perform a very rare, possibly once-in-a-lifetime craniopagus separation on Monday. A what? He finishes off his glass of wine and pours himself another one. Craniopagus separation. Conjoined twins, he says. He points to a spot on the top of his head and taps it. Attached right here. We've been studying them since they were born. It's a very rare surgery. Very rare. For the first time, I think I'm genuinely turned on by him as a doctor. I mean, I admire his drive. I admire his dedication.
but seeing how excited he is about what he's doing for a living is seriously sexy. How long do you think it'll take? I ask. He shrugs. Not sure. They're young, so being under general anesthesia for too long is a concern. He holds up his right hand and wiggles his fingers. But this is a very special hand that has been through almost $500,000 worth of specialty education. I have a lot of faith in this hand. I walk over to him and press my lips to his palm. I'm a little fond of this hand, too. He slides the hand down to my neck and then spins me so that I'm flush against the counter. I gasp because I wasn't expecting that. He pushes himself against me from behind and slowly slides his hand down the side of my body. I press my palms into the granite and close my eyes, already feeling the rush of the wine. This hand, he whispers, is the steadiest hand in all of Boston. He pushes on the back of my neck, bending me further over the counter. His hand meets the inside of my knee and he glides it upward. Slowly. Jesus. He pushes my legs apart, and then his fingers are inside me. I moan and try to find something to hold on to. I grip the faucet just as he begins to work magic. And then, just like a magician, his hand disappears. I hear him walking out of the kitchen. I watch as he passes the front of the counter. He winks at me, downs the rest of his glass of wine, and says, I'm gonna take a quick shower. What a tease. You asshole, I yell after him. I'm not an asshole, he yells from my bedroom. I'm a highly trained neurosurgeon. I laugh and pour myself another glass of wine. I'll show him who the tease really is. I'm on my third glass of wine when he walks out of my bedroom. I'm on the phone with my mother, so I watch him from the couch as he makes his way to the kitchen and pours himself another glass. That is some seriously good wine. What are you doing tonight? My mother asks. I have her on speakerphone. Ryle is leaning against a wall, watching me talk to her. Not much, helping Ryle study. That sounds not very interesting, she says. Ryle winks at me. It's actually very interesting, I say to her. I help him study a lot, mostly reviewing fine motor control of the hands. In fact, we'll probably be up all night studying. The 3 glasses of wine has made me frisky. I can't believe I'm flirting with him while I'm on the phone with my mother. Gross. I gotta go, I tell her. We're taking Elisa and Marshall out to dinner tomorrow night, so I'll call you on Monday. Oh, where are you taking them? I roll my eyes. The woman can't take a hint. I don't know. Ryle, where are we taking them? That place we went to that one time with your mom, he says. Bibbs, I made reservation for 6 o'clock. My heart feels like it slinks down my chest. My mother says, oh, good choice. Yeah, if you like stale bread. Bye, Mom. I hang up and look at Ryle. I don't want to go back there. I didn't like it. Let's try something new. I fail to tell him why I really don't want to go back there. But how do you tell your brand new boyfriend that you're trying to avoid your first love? Ryle pushes off the wall. You'll be fine, he says. Elisa's excited to eat there. I told her all about it. Maybe I'll get lucky and Atlas won't be working. Speaking of food, Ryle says, I'm starving. The casserole. Oh, shit, I say, laughing. Ryle rushes to the kitchen, and I stand up and follow him in there. I walk in just as he pulls the oven door open and waves away the smoke. Ruined. I get dizzy all of a sudden from standing up too fast after having 3 glasses of wine. I grab the counter beside him to steady myself just as he reaches in to pull the burnt casserole out. Ryle, you need a... Shit, he yells. Pot holder. The casserole falls from his hand and lands on the floor, shattering everywhere. I lift up my feet to avoid broken glass and mushroom chicken splatter. I start laughing as soon as I realize he didn't even think to use a potholder. Must be the wine. This is some seriously strong wine. He slams the oven shut and moves to the faucet, shoving his hand under the cold water, muttering curse words. I'm trying to suppress my laughter, but the wine and the ridiculousness of the last few seconds are making it hard. I look at the floor, at the mess we're about to have to clean up, and the laughter bursts from me. I'm still laughing as I lean over to get a look at Ryle's hand. I hope he didn't hurt it too bad. I'm instantly not laughing anymore. I'm on the floor, my hand pressed against the corner of my eye. In a matter of 1 second, Ryle's arm came out of nowhere and slammed against me, knocking me backward. There was enough force behind it to knock me off balance. When I lost my footing, I hit my face on one of the cabinet door handles as I came down. Pain shoots through the corner of my eye right near my temple. And then I feel the weight. Heaviness follows, and it presses down on every part of me. So much gravity pushing down on my emotions. Everything shatters. My tears, my heart, my laughter, my soul, shattered like broken glass, raining down around me. I wrap my arms over my head and try to wish away the last 10 seconds.
God damn it, Lily.
I hear him say,
It's not funny. This hand is my fucking career.
I don't look up at him. His voice doesn't penetrate through my body this time. It feels like it's stabbing me now, the sharpness of each of his words coming at me like swords. Then I feel him next to me, his goddamn hand on my back. Rubbing.
Lily,
he says.
Oh God, Lily.
He tries to pull my arms from my head, but I refuse to budge. I start shaking my head, wanting the last 15 seconds to go away. 15 seconds. That's all it takes to completely change everything about a person. 15 seconds that we'll never get back. He pulls me against him and starts kissing the top of my head.
I'm so sorry. I burned my hand. I panicked. You were laughing and I'm so sorry it all happened so fast. I didn't mean to push you, Lily. I'm sorry.
I don't hear Ryle's voice this time. All I hear is my father's voice.
I'm sorry, Jenny. It was an accident. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Lily. It was an accident. I'm so sorry.
I just want him away from me. I use every ounce of strength I have in both my hands and legs, and I force him the fuck away from me. He falls backward onto his hands. His eyes are full of genuine sorrow, but then they're full of something else. Worry? Panic? He slowly pulls up his right hand, and it's covered in blood. Blood is trickling out of his palm, down his wrist. I look at the floor, at the shattered pieces of glass from the casserole dish. His hand. I just pushed him onto glass. He turns around and pulls himself up. He sticks his hand under the stream of water and starts rinsing away the blood. I stand up just as he pulls a sliver of glass out of his palm and tosses it on the counter. I'm full of so much anger, but somehow concern for his hand still finds its way out. I grab a towel and shove it into his fist. There's so much blood. It's his right hand. His surgery Monday. I try to help stop the bleeding, but I'm shaking too bad. Ryle, your hand. He pulls the hand away, and with his good hand, he lifts my chin.
Fuck the hand, Lily. I don't care about my hand. Are you okay?
He's looking back and forth between my eyes frantically as he assesses the cut on my face. My shoulders begin to shake, and huge, hurt-filled tears spill down my cheeks. No. I'm a little in shock, and I know he can hear my heart breaking with just that one word, because I can feel it in every part of me. Oh my God, you pushed me, Ryle. You... The realization of what has just happened hurts worse than the actual action. Ryle wraps his arm around my neck and desperately holds me against him.
I'm so sorry, Lily. God, I'm so sorry.
He buries his face against my hair, squeezing me with every emotion inside of him.
Please don't hate me. Please.
His voice slowly starts to become Ryle's voice again, and I feel it in my stomach, in my toes. His entire career depends on his hand, so it has to say something that he's not even worried about it. Right? I'm so confused. There's too much happening. The smoke, the wine, the broken glass, the food splattered everywhere, the blood, the anger, the apologies. It's too much.
I'm so sorry,
he says again. I pull back, and his eyes are red, and I've never seen him look so sad.
I panicked. I didn't mean to push you away. I just panicked. All I could think about was the surgery Monday and my hand, and I'm so sorry.
He presses his mouth to mine and breathes me in. He's not like my father. He can't be. He's nothing like that uncaring bastard. We're both upset and kissing and confused and sad. I've never felt anything like this moment, so ugly and painful. But somehow the only thing that eases the hurt just caused by this man is this man. My tears are soothed by his sorrow, my emotions soothed with his mouth against mine, his hand gripping me like he never wants to let go. I feel his arms go around my waist, and he picks me up, carefully stepping through the mess we've made. I can't tell if I'm more disappointed in him or myself. Him for losing his temper in the first place, or me for somehow finding comfort in his apology. He carries me and kisses me all the way to my bedroom. He's still kissing me when he lowers me to the bed and whispers,
I'm sorry, Lily.
He moves his lips to the spot on my eye that hit the cabinet, and he kisses me there.
I'm so sorry.
His mouth is on mine again, hot and wet, and I don't even know what's happening to me. I'm hurting so much on the inside, yet my body craves his apology in the form of his mouth and his hands on me. I want to lash out at him and react like I always wish my mother would have reacted when my father hurt her. But deep down, I want to believe that it really was an accident. Ryle isn't like my father. He's nothing like him. I need to feel his sorrow, his regret. I get both of these things in the way he kisses me. I spread my legs for him, and his sorrow comes in another form. Slow, apologetic thrusts inside of me. Every time he enters me, he whispers another apology. And by some miracle, every time he pulls out of me, my anger leaves with him. He's kissing my shoulder, my cheek, my eye. He's still on top of me, touching me gently. I've never been touched like this, with such tenderness. I try to forget what happened in the kitchen, but it's everything right now. He pushed me away from him. Ryle pushed me. For 15 seconds, I saw a side of him that wasn't him, that wasn't me. I laughed at him when I should have been concerned. He shoved me when he should have never touched me. I pushed him away and caused him to cut his hand. It was awful. The whole thing, the entire 15 seconds it lasted, was absolutely awful. I never want to think about it again. He still has the rag balled up in his hand, and it's soaked with blood. I push against his chest. I'll be right back, I tell him. He kisses me one more time and rolls off of me. I walk to the bathroom and close the door. I look in the mirror and gasp. Blood. in my hair, on my cheeks, on my body. It's all his blood. I grab a rag and try to wash some off, and then I look under the sink for the first aid kit. I have no idea how bad his hand is. First he burned it, then he sliced it open. Not even an hour after he was just telling me how important this surgery was to him. No more wine. We're never allowed vintage wine again. I grab the box from under the sink and open the bedroom door. He's walking back into the bedroom from the kitchen with a small bag of ice. He holds it up.
For your eye,
he says. I hold up the first aid kit. For your hand. We both smile and then sit back down on the bed. He leans against the headboard while I pull his hand to my lap. The whole time I'm dressing his wound, he's holding the bag of ice against my eye. I squeeze some antiseptic cream onto my finger and dab it against the burns on his fingers. They don't look as bad as I thought they might be, so that's a relief. Can you prevent it from blistering? I ask him. He shakes his head.
Not if it's 2nd degree.
I want to ask him if he can still perform the surgery if his fingers have blisters on them come Monday, but I don't bring it up. I'm sure that's on the forefront of his mind right now. Do you want me to put some on your cut? He nods. The bleeding has stopped. I'm sure if he needed stitches, he'd get some, but I think it'll be fine. I pull the ace bandage out of the first aid kit and begin wrapping his hand.
Lily,
he whispers. I look up at him. His head is resting against the headboard and it looks like he wants to cry.
I feel terrible,
he says.
If I could take it back.
I know, I say, cutting him off. I know, Ryle. It was terrible. You pushed me. You made me question everything I thought I knew about you. But I know you feel bad about it. We can't take it back. I don't want to bring it up again. I secure the bandage around his hand and then look him in the eye. But Ryle, if anything like that ever happens again, I'll know that this time wasn't just an accident, and I'll leave you without a second thought. He stares at me for a long time, his eyebrows drawn apart in regret. He leans forward and presses his lips against mine.
It won't happen again, Lily. I swear. I'm not like him. I know that's what you're thinking, but I swear to you.
I shake my head, wanting him to stop. I can't take the pain in his voice. I know you're nothing like my father, I say, just... Please don't ever make me doubt you again. Please. He brushes hair from my forehead.
You're the most important part of my life, Lily. I want to be what brings you happiness, not what causes you to hurt.
He kisses me and then stands up and leans over me, pressing the ice to my face.
Hold this here for about 10 more minutes. It'll prevent it from swelling.
I replace his hand with mine. Where are you going? He kisses me on the forehead and says,
To clean up my mess.
He spends the next 20 minutes cleaning the kitchen. I can hear glass being tossed into the trash can, wine being poured out in the sink. I go to the bathroom and take a quick shower to get his blood off of me, and then I change the sheets on my bed. When he finally has the kitchen cleaned up, he comes to the bedroom with a glass. He hands it to me.
It's soda, he says. The caffeine will help.
I take a drink of it and feel it fizz down my throat. It's actually the perfect thing. I take another drink and set it on my nightstand. What's it help with? The hangover? Ryle slides into bed and pulls the covers over us. He shakes his head.
No, I don't think soda actually helps anything. My mom just used to give me a soda after I'd had a bad day, and it always made me feel a little better.
I smile. Well, it worked. He brushes his hand down my cheek, and I can see in his eyes and in the way he touches me that he deserves at least one chance at forgiveness. I feel if I don't find a way to forgive him, I'll somehow be placing blame on him for the resentment I still hold for my father. He's not like my father. Ryle loves me. He's never come out and said it before, but I know he does. And I love him. What happened in the kitchen tonight is something I'm confident won't happen again. Not after seeing how upset he is that he hurt me. All humans make mistakes. What determines a person's character aren't the mistakes we make. It's how we take those mistakes and turn them into lessons rather than excuses. Ryle's eyes somehow grow even more sincere, and he leans over and kisses my hand. He settles his head into the pillow, and we just lie there, staring at each other, sharing this unspoken energy that fills all the holes the night has left in us. After a few minutes, he squeezes my hand.
Lily,
he says, brushing his thumb over mine.
I'm in love with you.
I feel his words in every part of me, and when I whisper, I love you too, it's the most naked truth I've ever spoken to him. Chapter 15. I arrive at the restaurant 15 minutes late. Right when I was about to close tonight, I had a customer come in to order flowers for a funeral. I couldn't turn them away because, sadly, funerals are the best business for florists. Ryle waves me over to the table and I walk straight to them, doing my best not to look around. I don't want to see Atlas. I tried twice to get them to change the restaurant location, but Elisa was hell-bent on eating here after Ryle told her how good it was. I slide into the booth, and Ryle leans over and kisses me on the cheek.
Hey, girlfriend.
Elisa groans. God, you guys are so cute, it's sickening. I smile at her, and her eyes immediately go to the corner of my eye. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it might today, which is probably due to Ryle forcing me to keep ice on it. Oh my God, Elisa says. Ryle told me what happened, but I didn't think it was that bad. I glance at Ryle, wondering what he told her. The truth? He smiles and says,
Olive oil was everywhere. When she slipped, it was so graceful you'd think she was a ballerina.
A lie. Fair enough, I would have done the same thing. It was pretty pathetic, I say with a laugh. Somehow we get through dinner without a hitch. No sign of Atlas, no thoughts of last night, and Ryle and I both avoid the wine. After we're finished with our food, our waiter approaches the table.
Care for dessert?
He asks. I shake my head, but Elisa perks up. What do you have? Marshall looks just as interested.
We're eating for two, so we'll take anything chocolate, he says.
The waiter nods, and when he walks away, Elisa looks at Marshall. This baby is the size of a bedbug right now. You better not encourage bad habits for the next several months. The waiter returns with a dessert cart.
The chef gives all expectant mothers dessert on the house, he says. Congratulations.
He does? Elisa says, perking up.
Guess that's why it's called Bibs, Marshall says. Chef likes the babies.
We all look at the cart. Oh, God, I say, looking at the options. This is my new favorite restaurant, Elisa says. We pick out 3 desserts for the table. The 4 of us spend the time waiting for it to be served, discussing baby names. No, Elisa says to Marshall, we're not naming this baby after a state. But I love Nebraska, he whines.
Idaho?
Elisa drops her head in her hands. This is going to be the demise of our marriage.
Demise,
Marshall says.
That's actually a good name.
Marshall's murder is thwarted by the arrival of dessert. Our waiter places a piece of chocolate cake in front of Elisa and steps aside to make room for the waiter behind him who is holding the 2 other desserts. The waiter motions toward the guy placing our desserts down and says, the chef would like to extend his congratulations.
How was the meal?
The chef asks, looking at Elisa and Marshall. By the time his eyes make it to mine, my anxiety is seeping from me. Atlas locks eyes with me, and without thinking, I blurt out, "You're the chef?" The waiter leans around Atlas and says, "The chef, the owner, sometimes waiter, sometimes dishwasher. He gives a new meaning to hands-on." The next 5 seconds go unnoticed by everyone at our table, but they play out in slow motion to me. Atlas's eyes fall to the cut on my eye, the bandage wrapped around Ryle's hand. Back to my eye. "We love your restaurant," Elisa says. "You have an incredible place here." Atlas doesn't look at her. I see the roll of his throat as he swallows. His jaw hardens and he says nothing as he walks away. Shit. The waiter tries to cover for Atlas's hasty retreat by smiling and showing way too many teeth. "Enjoy your dessert," he says, scuffling off to the kitchen. "Bummer," Elisa says. "We find a new favorite restaurant and the chef is an asshole." Ryle laughs. "Yeah, but the assholes are the best ones. Gordon Ramsay?" "Good point," Marshall says. I put my hand on Ryle's arm. "Bathroom," I tell him. He nods as I scoot out of the booth, and Marshall says, "What about Wolfgang Puck? You think he's an asshole?" I walk across the restaurant, head down, fast-paced. As soon as I get into the familiar hallway, I keep going. I push open the door to the women's restroom and then turn around and lock it. Shit. Shit, shit, shit. The look in his eye. The anger in his jaw. I'm relieved he walked away, but I'm half convinced he's probably going to be waiting outside the restaurant when we leave, ready to kick Ryle's ass. I breathe in my nose, out my mouth, wash my hands, repeat the breathing. Once I'm more calm, I dry my hands on a towel. I'll just go back out there and tell Ryle I'm not feeling well. We'll leave, and we'll never come back. They all think the chef is an asshole, so that can be my excuse. I unlock the door, but I don't pull it open. It starts pushing open from the other side, so I step back. Atlas steps inside the bathroom with me and locks the door. His back rests against the door as he stares at me, focused on the cut near my eye. "What happened?" he asks. I shake my head. "Nothing." His eyes are narrow, still ice blue, but somehow burning with fire. "You're lying, Lily." I muster enough of a smile to get me by. "It was an accident." Atlas laughs, but then his face falls flat. "Leave him." Leave him? Jesus, he thinks this is something else entirely. I take a step forward and shake my head. He's not like that, Atlas. It wasn't like that. Ryle is a good person. He tilts his head and leans it forward a little bit. "Funny. You sound just like your mother." His words sting. I immediately try to reach around him for the door, but he grabs my wrist. "Leave him, Lily." I yank my hand away. I turn my back to him and inhale a deep breath. I release it slowly as I face him again. If it's any comparison at all, I'm more scared of you right now than I've ever been of him. My words make Atlas pause for a moment. His nod starts out slowly and then gets more prominent as he steps away from the door. "I certainly didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable." He motions toward the door. "Just trying to repay the concern you've always shown me." I stare at him for a moment, unsure how to take his words. He's still raging on the inside, I can see it. But on the outside, he's calm, collected, allowing me to leave. I reach forward and unlock the door, then pull it open. I gasp when my eyes meet Ryle's. I quickly glance over my shoulder to see Atlas filing out of the bathroom with me. Ryle's eyes fill with confusion as he looks from me to Atlas. "What the fuck,
Lily.
Ryle. My voice shakes. God, this looks so much worse than it is. Atlas steps around me and turns toward the doors to the kitchen as if Ryle doesn't even exist to him. Ryle's eyes are glued to Atlas's back. Keep walking, Atlas. Right when Atlas reaches the kitchen doors, he pauses. No. Keep walking. In what becomes one of the most dreadful moments I can imagine, he spins around and strides toward Ryle, grabbing him by the collar of his shirt. Almost as soon as it happens, Ryle forces Atlas back and slams him against the opposite wall. Atlas lunges for Ryle again, this time shoving his forearm against Ryle's throat, pinning him against the wall.
You touch her again, and I'll cut your fucking hand off and shove it down your throat, you worthless piece of shit.
Atlas, stop! I yell. Atlas releases Ryle forcefully, taking a huge step back. Ryle is breathing heavily, staring at Atlas long and hard. Then his focus moves directly to me.
Atlas?
He says his name with familiarity. Why is Ryle saying Atlas's name like that, like he's heard me say it before? I've never told him about Atlas. Wait, I did. That first night on the roof. It was one of my naked truths. Ryle lets out a disbelieving laugh and points at Atlas, but he's still looking at me.
This is Atlas? The homeless boy you pity fucked?
Oh, God. The hallway instantly becomes a blur of fists and elbows and my screams for them to stop. 2 waiters push through the door behind me and shove past me, separating them just as quickly as it started. They're pushed apart against opposite walls, staring each other down, breathing heavily. I can't even look at either of them. I can't look at Atlas, not after what Ryle just said to him. I also can't look at Ryle because he's probably thinking the absolute worst possible thing right now.
Out,
Atlas yells, pointing at the door but looking at Ryle.
Get the hell out of my restaurant.
I meet Ryle's eyes as he begins to walk past me, scared of what I'll see in them. But there isn't any anger there. Only hurt. Lots of hurt. He pauses as if he's about to say something to me, but his face just twists into disappointment and he walks back out into the restaurant. I finally glance up at Atlas and can see disappointment all across his face. Before I can explain away Ryle's words to him, he turns and walks away, pushing through the kitchen doors. I immediately turn and run after Ryle. He grabs his jacket from the booth and walks toward the exit without even looking at Elisa and Marshall. Elisa looks up at me and holds her hands up in question. I shake my head, grab my purse, and say, "It's a long story. We'll talk tomorrow." I follow Ryle outside and he's walking toward the parking lot. I run to catch up to him and he just stops and punches at the air.
I didn't bring my fucking car,
he yells, frustrated. I pull my keys out of my purse and he walks up to me and snatches them from my hand. Again, I follow him, this time to my car. I don't know what to do. I don't know if he even wants to speak to me right now. He just saw me locked in a bathroom with a guy I used to be in love with. Then, out of nowhere, that guy attacks him. God, this is so bad. When we reach my car, he heads straight for the driver's side door. He points to the passenger side and says, "Get in, Lily." He doesn't speak to me the entire time we're driving. I say his name once, but he just shakes his head like he's not ready to hear my explanation yet. When we pull into my parking garage, he gets out of the car as soon as he turns it off, like he can't get away from me fast enough. He's pacing the length of the car when I get out. It wasn't what it looked like, Ryle, I swear. He stops pacing, and when he looks at me, my heart doubles over. There's so much pain in his eyes right now, and it's not even necessary. It was all due to a stupid misunderstanding.
I didn't want this, Lily, he says. I didn't want a relationship. I didn't want this stress in my life.
As much as he's hurting because of what he thinks he saw, his words still piss me off. Well, then leave.
What?
I throw my hands up. I don't want to be your burden, Ryle. I'm so sorry my presence in your life is so unbearable. He takes a step forward.
Lily, that's not at all what I'm saying.
He throws his hands up in frustration and then walks past me. He leans against my car and folds his arms over his chest. There's a long stretch of silence while I wait for what he has to say. His head is down, but he lifts it slightly, looking up at me.
Naked truths, Lily. That's all I want from you right now. Can you please give me that?
I nod.
Did you know he worked there?
I purse my lips together and wrap my arms over my chest, grabbing at my elbow. Yes, that's why I didn't want to go back, Ryle. I didn't want to run into him. My answer seems to release a little of his tension. He runs a hand down his face.
Did you tell him what happened last night? Did you tell him about our fight?
I take a step forward and shake my head adamantly. No, he assumed. He saw my eye and your hand, and he just assumed. He blows out a laden breath and leans his head back, looking up at the roof. It looks like it's almost too painful for him to even ask the next question.
Why were you alone with him in the bathroom?
I take another step forward. He followed me in there. I know nothing about him now, Ryle. I didn't even know he owned that restaurant. I thought he was just a waiter. He's not a part of my life anymore, I swear. He just... I fold my arms together and drop my voice. We both grew up in abusive households. He saw my face and your hand, and he was just worried for me. That's all it was. Ryle brings his hands up and covers his mouth. I can hear the air rushing through his fingers as he releases his breath. He stands up straight, allowing himself a moment to soak in all I've just said.
My turn,
he says. He pushes off the car and takes the 3 steps toward me that previously separated us. He puts both hands on my cheeks and looks me dead in the eyes.
If you don't want to be with me, please tell me right now, Lily. Because when I saw you with him, that hurt. I never want to feel that again. And if it hurts this much now, I'm terrified to think of what it could do to me a year from now.
I can feel the tears begin to stream down my cheeks. I place my hands on top of his and shake my head. I don't want anyone else, Ryle. I only want you. He forces the saddest smile I've ever seen on a human. He pulls me to him and holds me there. I wrap my arms around him as tight as I can as he presses his lips to the side of my head.
I love you, Lily. God, I love you.
I squeeze him tight, pressing a kiss to his shoulder. I love you too. I close my eyes and wish I could wash away the entire last 2 days. Atlas is wrong about Ryle. I just wish Atlas knew he was wrong.